Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel and today I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I am so excited for this video. This is one of those videos that when I used to just watch booktube before I had a channel, it was always my favorite. Like I always looked forward to it. I was so excited to see people just talk about books, talk about their reading year so far, see how they've been doing. And this end of the year content is my favorite. I love when people just sit down and talk about their favorite books. So I'm really excited to do this. I have so many books to talk about. Basically, if you don't know, the mid-year book freakout tag is just an opportunity for us to go through what we have read this year, what has been our favorite, what has surprised us, who are our new favorite authors, and what are we looking forward to for the rest of the year. So there are a list of questions that I will be answering, and I'll just talk you guys through how my year has gone and what books stood out to me. I do want to say I have multiple books for each answer. I had a really hard time just picking one, so I'm gonna have like 4 to 5 books for each of these questions, but I hope you guys enjoy. Just sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a coffee, and let's talk about how my reading year has gone so far. All right, first question, starting out strong. What is the best book that you have read so far in 2022? I could not pick one for this, you guys. Like there was no way. I have had amazing reads this year, and I don't even know. I really could not pick one. So I have like 3 or 4, I think, that I'm going to talk about, and it'll be very hard to decide what is my best book of the year at the end of the year, but these are definitely contenders. So the first book that I am going to talk about for this question, you guys already know. You know, House of Sky and Breath, the second book in the Crescent City series. This was my most anticipated read of the year, and it did not disappoint. I, as you can see, devoured this book. I loved it. I read it in like 2 days. It was such a ride. And that ending, you guys, that ending was just, it was incredible. It really blew my mind, and I had such an amazing time reading this book. It's been one of my favorite reading experiences of the year, just like a book that I've read and I've just had pure fun reading. I love this book so much. It was an instant 5-star for me, and we really dived deeper into this world, and we got a lot of questions answered, but we had about 3 million new questions presented to us now. I am constantly thinking about the next book. I am theorizing always. I am always so curious what SJM is going to do with the next book moving forward. If you know, you know. I love this book with my whole heart. Definitely going to be in like my top 10 because I really enjoy SJM's writing. I really like these characters, and this was just pure fun. I don't know. I loved this book so much. Another contender for best book of the year so far is definitely going to be A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I'm gonna try to not blind you guys. This book blew me away. I was not expecting to love it as much as I did. I saw so many people hype it up, and I just didn't really think that I would get there with this one. I don't know why, but I was just like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be a good reading experience. This is beautiful, and not just beautiful in the writing, which is incredible. I feel like every line in this book you could tattoo on your body. I also just found the story to be beautiful. There were really positive things in this book, really negative things in this book. I think that they were presented very well. I was in awe of this book. Please, if you have not read this book, I recommend it. It is technically fantasy romance, but I think when you think of fantasy romance, you think of like ACOTAR, Plated Prisoners, From Blood and Ash, and this book does feel very different from those. It's kind of like fantasy romance / literary fiction, I would say. I don't really know. This book is a retelling of Dracula's Brides, and it is just the most like, I don't know. This book is incredible. I know that's like, what a great explanation, but it's incredible. It's beyond words. I'm absolutely going to be rereading this book before the end of the year because I want to experience it all over again. I totally recommend, if you have not read this book, please read it. Another amazing book that I had the privilege of reading this year is Yoke. This is definitely a contender for the best book that I have read so far. This just hit me in a way that I did not think it would, and I enjoyed every minute of it. This book follows 2 sisters and kind of navigates their complicated relationship while one of them gets a cancer diagnosis. It's really hard hitting. It's very intense. Definitely check up trigger warnings for this book. But the sister dynamic, I think, was done really well. I really appreciated how real and flawed these characters are. And I just think that Mary's voice is fantastic. And I just loved this. I just feel so like connected to this book. I don't know. I think because I have a sister, there's just like something really beautiful that I can relate to about this book, even like the harder parts. And I don't know. I love this book so much. And then the last book that is definitely a contender for the best book that I have read so far this year is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I fell in love with this book. I was like on chapter 1 and something happened. I was just like, oh my god. First of all, the writing. Writing is fantastic, and I'm not even like a really big stickler for writing. Like, I can read a book that has quote unquote bad writing. I don't really like to use the term bad writing. I think that's very subjective, but I can read a lot of different writing styles and not be bothered by it. So I'm not somebody who is like, I have to have excellent, amazing, the highest quality writing ever. But when I get it, I appreciate it. And I just really appreciated this. This is just a fantastic book. It is a gothic kind of fantastical classic. There's definitely a commentary on vain and beauty, and I think what we would call in modern times like pretty privilege, and what that means and how that can help you and how that can also hurt you, and kind of just wrapped up in this very trippy, interesting story. And the characters in this book are really, really fun. I was blown away by this book. I had never annotated a book before, but I read this book and it inspired me because I was just so in awe of the writing and the quotes and just everything. I love this book so much. It means so much to me, and definitely one of the best books I've read this year. Okay, the next question is the best sequel that you have read so far in 2022. I am going to try to not double up books on answers. Obviously, I would add Hosab to this one, but I'm gonna try to just like keep it fresh for each question. So the first one that came to mind, other than House of Sky and Breath, is going to be The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is the second book in the Folk of the Air series. The Folk of the Air series follows Jude Duarte, who is a human girl, and she ends up, how does she get to Elfame? Oh, yeah, okay. So Jude Duarte as a child is brought to Elfame, which is this like fairy realm, and she and her twin sister are raised there among the fairies, and they're treated terribly because they're humans. This book kind of follows her experience sort of rising the ranks, getting involved with the royal family, a little bit of an enemies to lovers situation, some political fantasy things going on. It's just really fun. It's a really, really fun trilogy, and I was very nervous to read this trilogy because a lot of people love this series, but I personally had heard a lot of negative things about the trilogy. So I was very cautious, very cautious, did not know if I would love it. And literally when I was reading the first book, The Cruel Prince, I think 50 pages in, I was like, oh my god, I'm loving this. Like, I just had so much fun with that. And The Wicked King is the second book, and it is my favorite in the series. I think just because it's just kind of in that sweet spot of the series. We still have the will they, won't they of Jude and Cardan, and we kind of have the introductions of new plot lines and where we're going to go with like the ending of the series. And I just really enjoyed it. So definitely the best sequel I have read so far this year. And another sequel that I really enjoyed this year is The Reckoning, which is the third book in the Zodiac Academy series. This is my favorite book in the series. I think because it just has this quality of like, we still kind of have the early storylines of this book, and you know, they're still at the academy, things are still kind of up in the air, but we have this like really great romance development, and we start to introduce the like major plot lines that are going to take over for the rest of the series. I don't know, it's kind of that like before everything like hits the fan, and I just really connected to this one. I love the romance that happens in this book, so I think that that's why this one hit me so hard, and it was such a good sequel. This series is so much fun and so addicting. All right, the next question is a new release of 2022 that you have not read yet, but you want to. There are probably like 50 books that I could list for this question, but I am going to be reading 2 new releases this month, romance releases, so I'm just going to talk about those because I'm very excited for both of them. So the first new release that I'm very excited to get to, and I will be getting to like tomorrow probably, is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is a contemporary romance. It gets compared a lot to Love in Other Words and a little bit of People We Meet on Vacation, which are 2 fantastic romances. I have really loved those, and we just have like a dual timeline, friends to lovers, something went bad, we're trying to figure out what happened, they meet up in present day, and they kind of try to work on their relationship. So I have a lot of hope for this book, as it has been compared to some of my favorite romances, so I really hope that I enjoy it. And another book that I will be reading this month, it's a new release I'm very excited for, is Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. This cover, hello. This is kind of like a celebrity, non-celebrity love story, which I have not read one of those, but I like when Hollywood or celebrities are like included in a romance story. I think it can be really fun. And this follows, I believe, a journalist who interviews a celebrity years ago, and the interview went viral because people thought that they like had this connection. And then I believe they meet up years later to do the interview again. And once again, dual timeline, we go back and forth, and I think we see like what happens. I don't know. I think that sounds so good and so fun, and I'm just so excited to see like what actually went down, what's going on here, and I think this is going to be great. I'm very excited for it. Okay, so the next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. There are many. At this time, I believe today's June 15th. Glow by Raven Kennedy comes out on June 18th, and I am so excited for it. Have I read the third book in the Play to Prisoner series yet? No, I have not, so I need to read that first. So this is the third book, Gleam. I obviously need to read this first before Glow comes out, but I have Glow pre-ordered pre-ordered, and I'm really excited to read this too. I just haven't read it yet because I had other reading plans going on this month and I wanted to wait, but I will probably be reading this on like July 1st or like June 30th maybe. I'm dying to get to this book. Like, I need to continue on with the series, and I've seen really high praise for Glow so far. I do follow some people who have received ARCs, and one girl who I have very similar taste to, she loved House of Sky and Breath, gave it 5 stars, said for a while that was her best book of the year, and then she read Glow and she said that bumped Hosab out, and Glow is her best book of the year so far. I am hoping and praying that Glow just knocks me on my ass, you know? Like, I just want to be blown away by that book. I really loved the first 2 books in the series, Gild and Glint. I gave both 4 stars, but I'm just ready for like a 5-star experience from this series, and I hope I give this book 5 stars. I'm excited that it's much longer than the first 2, so I hope we kind of have a little bit more plot going on, and then the second book I think is over 700 pages, so I'm excited. I really love this series. I absolutely recommend it. It's a really great fantasy romance series, and Glow is just like on my mind. I've been thinking about it every day, even though I haven't read the 3rd book yet, but I'm really excited for that. Another book that I am very highly anticipating for the second half of the year is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this is going to be the last book in the little like decades quartet that Taylor Jenkins Reid has been working on. We have Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones, Malibu Rising, and then Carrie Soto is going to be the last one, and it's going to be like the 90s book. I'm so excited for this. I think the cover is absolutely beautiful. I pre-ordered it. I think I'm gonna do like a reading vlog just for that book. Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones were 5 stars for me, and I think I gave Malibu Rising 3 or 4 stars. It just didn't hit me as hard as Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones did. I thought it was like slightly boring, just a little bit. I still enjoyed it, but it was just slightly boring. But I hope that Carrie Soto kind of packs a punch, and I'm very excited for that one. The next question is, what has been your biggest surprise of 2022? Once again, I have several. The first books that I thought of when I saw this question was these 2 right here, Kiss the Sky and Hot House Flower. If you don't know, these are the first books in the Calloway Sisters section of the Addicted and Calloway Sisters series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Basically, there's like 2 series that are combined. They follow a group of characters, and just the Addicted books follow the POV of one couple, and then the Calloway Sisters books follow the POVs of other couples, but they're all in the same books. And I gotta tell you guys, the first 3 Addicted books did not like 2, maybe 3-star territory, like really didn't enjoy them. I wanted to DNF the series, but everyone told me, get to Kiss the Sky, get to Hot House Flower. It'll all make sense. You will enjoy it, I promise. And you guys were right. You were absolutely right. I loved these books. They changed everything for me for the series. And now I think I have 5 books left in the series, but I haven't picked them up because I don't want the series to end. And like, I'm just good hanging out here for right now. I'm just trying to stretch it out, but I really love the series now. I think I gave Kiss the Sky 4 stars, but I ended up giving Hot House Flower 5 stars, which is shocking and so surprising because these characters in the Addicted books, I just didn't really like them. Like, I wasn't really rooting for them. I wasn't about them, but this book completely changed my mind. This book is so good. Like, this book is amazing. I am really glad that I stuck it out and that I got to these books because they are fantastic and they've just made it all worth it. So definitely a huge surprise. I also wanted to talk about books that surprised me kind of in a negative way. Obviously Book Lovers by Emily Henry, but like, I don't want to harp on that book. I feel like I've talked about it too much lately, but like, you guys know, Book Lovers was not my jam. It didn't really work for me. But another book that surprised me in a way that was just basically like, it disappointed me was Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. When I first read it, I was really enjoying it, and I think I gave it like 4 stars, maybe 3.5, 4 stars, something like that. But then I ended up lowering my rating to 3 stars because I sat with this book and I thought about it, and I just feel like the friends to lovers trope was not done well. They were never like truly friends, really. They were instantly into each other. I just didn't feel like there was a lot of like heart and established friendship before the, you know, attraction and relationship started. So I truly thought this was going to blow. It Happened One Summer Out of the Water, which is the first book in this duology, but totally not. It Happened One Summer is the superior book. I'm so excited. By the way, if you guys saw, It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey is getting a movie. She just posted that earlier this week, and I'm so excited. If you have not read that book, you need to read it. It is a fantastic romance, and I would like recommend this one just because it does follow different characters but in the same world, and there's like a really sweet epilogue involving all of the characters. But this was a surprise in the way that I thought it was going to be way better than the first one, and it wasn't. The next question is your newest fictional crush. And I know I said I wasn't going to do repeats, but Rune Dannon, Crown Prince of the Valbaran Fae. If you know, you know. This man, okay, I really liked him in House of Earth and Blood. Like, I really, really enjoyed his character, but something happened in this book and he just like shot up so much for me. Unpopular opinion, maybe. He is my favorite character in this series. And the little situation he's in with someone, that little potential relationship happening, I like that couple better than Bryce and Hunt. And I'm so sorry to say that. I like Bryce and Hunt. There's nothing wrong with them, but like Rune and you know who, I'm obsessed. I am praying one day that we get a Court of Silver Flames style Rune and you know who type of book. I need it. I need their POVs. I need to be in their heads. I just want that so badly. So Rune Dannon, absolutely. He is amazing. Another fictional crush is Reese Larson in Twisted Games, you guys. Reese is amazing. I absolutely love him. This is a princess bodyguard romance and I loved this book so much. It got 4 stars from me, one of my favorite romances of the year. And Reese is great. He's fantastic. He is equal parts like grumpy, but also like reasonable. He's not grumpy for no reason and like ridiculous. He's like a very, I think, well done, grumpy, tough character. And I absolutely loved his and Bridget's dynamic. And also Elander from The Song of the Marked. I just read this book last week. I posted a fantasy romance reading vlog, Kindle Unlimited edition. This was the last book that I read in that video and I was totally shocked, blown away, gave this book 5 stars, absolutely loved it. It is a great classic like fantasy romance style book. Definitely has some similarities to Throne of Glass and From Blood and Ash, but then the end shocked me, smacked me in the face, and I'm just so excited to see what happens with him, with his character, and with Cassia. Is that her name? Yeah, Cassia. I loved him as well. So another great fictional crush to add to the group. The next question is a book that made you cry. Many. I'm gonna let you guys know right now, I'm a super emotional person. I cry very easily, and I don't just cry like out of sadness. I cry out of frustration. I cry out of joy. I cry just like if I'm feeling slightly emotional. It's, you know, I used to think it was a problem, but I sort of just lean into it now, and I'm a crier, and that is okay. So I cry a lot when I read. If I'm really touched by something, I'll tear up. I'm sorry, I will. Definitely the book that I think made me cry like the hardest this year is between these 2 books, and Cursed Fates in the Zodiac Academy. This book was so painful. This book was awful. The ending of this book was horrendous to read and so tough and just put you through it. Oh my god, this book was just, I can't even describe it. So this book definitely got the most tears out of me, I would say. And also, Hosab again. I just want to give a like honorable mention for this one because the ending of this book, cried. Yep, the last chapter, I literally was tearing up. Well, no, I was crying. I was like full on crying. You can see it in my vlog. I was like crying because not because anything sad happened. I mean, the things leading up to the events of the very last chapter were sad and like we don't know the fate of some certain characters and like, you know, that's very emotional. But also I was just so overwhelmed and like stunned with what happened in the last chapter that I got emotional. I cried because I just realized that my brain was breaking and that SJM was really doing this. Like we were really going there. But yeah, this definitely an emotional book for me as well. The next question is a book that made you happy. I have thankfully had a lot of books that have made me happy this year. The first one being Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellafleur. I read this last month and it was just so fantastic. I was smiling from ear to ear the entire time I was reading this. It's just a really good, well done rom-com fake dating situation. I totally recommend this book. It is a sapphic romance and just the main characters' names are Elle and Darcy, like in Pride and Prejudice, and I really enjoyed this. It had really good heart. The characters weren't too over the top. The fake dating scenarios weren't too ridiculous or anything. I think it was just done really well and made me super happy. Another book that made me very happy was the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. I read the first 3 books in the series and all 3 books made me very happy. This is a middle grade series and I just love it. It just feels like I am giving my brain a hug when I read this book. It just brings me pure joy. I love Morrigan's character. I love all of her friends and the side characters. The magic system is very interesting in this book and I just had such a good time reading this series. So I love this book and it definitely has made me very happy. The next question is the most beautiful book that you have either bought yourself or received. I have several. Number 1, Circe by Madeline Miller. This is actually the UK hardcover edition. I had the US paperback when I read it for the first time. I loved Circe. I thought it was great. I know some people think it's boring, but I didn't really like mind. Like I agree that not like a ton happens in this book, but I just liked this world. I just love Madeline Miller's writing and I needed this edition because hello, this is art. Another absolutely beautiful book that I bought this year were actually just these dust jackets, and these are the A Touch of Magic Designs and Dominique Wesson dust jackets for the ACOTAR series. This is just A Court of Wings and Ruin. I love pretty much all of them, but I thought I would bring this one up because I feel like I haven't shown this one on camera as much, but this is stunning, absolutely stunning, and it only gets better. This is just beautiful. Like I love this art style. This is like how I imagine the characters. I just think it's done really well. These dust jackets are like my prized bookish possessions. And another very beautiful book that I received from my friend Kara is The Stationery Shop by Marjan Comely. Beautiful, literally stunning. I love these colors together. I love the foiling. I just think that this book is so gorgeous, and it's just like extra special to me because it was given to me by one of my friends. So I really cherish this book and think it is beautiful. All right, the last question of the mid-year book freak out tag, I think I said that right, is what books do you need to get to by the end of the year? And boy, let me tell you, there are a lot. I have so many books that I need to get to, like need, not want to, need to. There are so many books that I think about that are in the back of my mind that I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need to pick those up. Like I have an ever-growing TBR on Goodreads and like on my bookshelves, but I also have like mini TBRs in my brain of like, I need to read those books. Oh, I need to read those books. Oh my God, I've owned that book for 2 years. Why have I not picked it up? So here's a few that just like came to mind instantly. Number one, Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. Normal People is one of my favorite books of all time, probably top 3. Honestly, I love it. I also really loved Conversations with Friends, and I need to read her 3rd book. So this is a priority for the rest of the year for sure. Another book that is ridiculous that I have not read yet, but it's purely because I am afraid it will not live up to the hype, not really like the hype of other people, but how much I've hyped it up in my mind. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I will absolutely be reading this before the end of the year. I need to experience this. I need to just sit down and do it. But I want this to be like a favorite of all time. I might be putting too much pressure on it, but I just feel like I will, and I think that intimidates me, and so I don't know, I've been putting it off, but I need to read it. And then I also really want to read at least 3 Jane Austen novels this year. I have a ton of classics that I need to get to, so my priority is definitely going to be Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, the Netflix movie is coming out soon with Dakota Johnson, so I need to read that, and Emma, also by Jane Austen. So I want to get to all 3 of these books before the year's over because I'm sure I'm going to love them. Like I predict I will give each of these at least 4 stars, so I'm really highly anticipating reading them, and I just need to add them to my TBR and do it. All right guys, so that is going to be it. That is the end of my mid-year book freak out tag. I have had a really good reading year so far. I also wanted to say I've read 70 books this year, which is awesome because last year I think I read a total for the entire year 77 books. So I'm on my way to beating that goal probably this month or next month, and I've just really enjoyed the books that I have been so lucky to read so far this year. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tag. I'm going to have the questions in the description box down below. Feel free to answer them. You can answer all of them. You can answer 1 or 2 of them. I would definitely love to know for sure though, what is the best book that you've read this year so far? You can list a couple, like me, you can cheat. And what are you looking forward to getting to for the rest of the year? As always, my Instagram and my Goodreads are linked down below. Feel free to follow me on there anytime. I really appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you're having a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys in the next one.